May my prayer be acceptable to you, eternal God. In your great kindness, answer me with your saving truth. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom KLS, Shabbat Shalom to all our friends wherever you are on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. So today is Shabbat Vayikra, and we will start our service on page 117. 117. We thank you, O God, for this new day, for morning sun and evening star, for flowering of tree and flowing of tide, for life-giving rains and cooling breezes, for the changing seasons, for the cycle of growth and decay, of life and death. We awake and behold a new day. O God, renew us unto life. Teach us to recognize your presence in creation. Grateful for your gifts, may we dedicate all our powers to your service. Page 118. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokech ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam malbish arumim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam matir asurim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam zokef kefufim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שעשה לי כל צורכי. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם הנותן ליעף כוח. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם המעביר שינה מעיני ותנומה מעפעפיי. We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, for daily renewing our strength. We praise you, eternal God, sovereign of the universe, for the blessing of sleep and the privilege of waking to a new day. On page 119. Baruch she'amar ve'haya ha'olam baruch hu. וברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם המהולל בפי עמו משובח ומפואר בלשון חסידיו ועבדיו בשברות ובזמירות נגדלך ונמלירך מלכנו יחיד העולמים ברוך אתה אדוני מלך מהולל בתשבחות. With the coming of day and night, I will enter the covenant of God, and when evening and morning depart, I will recite God's decrees. God Most High, you are my righteousness. You teach me goodness. You are the fountain of knowledge, the dwelling place of holiness and the summit of glory. Eternal might and majesty are yours. I will choose whatever you teach me, gladly accepting your judgment. As soon as I move my hands and feet, I will praise your name when I go out and when I come in, when I lie down and when I rise up. When I rest on my bed, I will sing your praise, and in the company of my friends, I will praise you with the words of my mouth. מזמור שיר ליום השבת טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון ולזמר לשמך עליון להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות עלי יסוף ועלי נבל עלי היגיון בחינות מזמור שיר ליום השבת טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון ולזמר לשמך עליון כי שימרתני אדוני בפועלך במעשה ידיך ארנן מה גדלו לשמך עליון. On page 121, the righteous shall flourish like the palm, grow tall like the cedar of Lebanon, planted in the house of the Eternal One. They shall flourish in the courts of our God. They shall still bear fruit in old age. They shall ever be fresh and green, proclaiming that God is just, my rock, in whom there is no flaw. And we turn to page 135 for Yishtabach. 135. ישתבח שמך לעד מלכנו, האל המלך הגדול והקדוש בשמיים ובארץ, כי לך נאי אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, שירו שבחה הלל וזמחה, ברכות והודעות מעתה ועד עולם. ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר בשירי זמרה. ברכו את אדוני המבורך, We praise you, eternal God, eternal one, our God, sovereign of the universe, maker of light and creator of darkness, author of peace and creator of all things. In your mercy you give light to the earth and all who live on it, and in your goodness you renew creation continually day by day. How manifold are your works, O God! With wisdom have you made them all. The world is full of your creations. Your handiworks proclaims your praise. The radiant stars bear witness to your glory. We praise you, O God, creator of light. Great is your love for us, eternal God, and abundant in your compassion. Our ancestors trusted in you, and you taught them the laws of life. So be gracious to us and teach us. Incline our hearts to hear your words, to know and understand, to learn and teach, and with love to uphold the truth of your Torah. Enlighten us with your good teaching, make us faithful to your commandments, and wholehearted in the love and awe of your name. For in love you summon us to serve you and proclaim your unity. We praise you, O God. In love you have called the people of Israel to serve you. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבביך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Emet. Good and beautiful and true, sound, established and enduring are these words now and forever. True it is, eternal one, that you are sovereign God and Redeemer, as you were the God and Redeemer of our ancestors. You are our Maker, the rock of our salvation. We have known you always as our helper and our liberator. There is no God but you. Truly you are first and you are last. We have no Redeemer but you. You redeemed us from Egypt and freed us from the house of bondage. Then with great joy Moses, Miriam, and all Israel together sang to you this song. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha neda b'kodesh, nora tehilot osef ele, nora tehilot osef ele. שירה חדשה שיברו גאולים לשמך על שפת הים, יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. צור ישראל, קומה בעזרת ישראל, גואלנו אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל. ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל, גאל ישראל, ישראל. And on page 140 of the Amidah. Adonai sefatai tiftar ufi yagi tehilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. We praise you, Eternal One, our God and God of ancestors, of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, of Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, Great and mighty, awesome and exalted God, you deal kindly with us and embrace us all. You remember the faithfulness of our ancestors, and in love bring redemption to their children's children for the sake of your name. You are our sovereign and helper, our redeemer and shield. We praise you, O God, shield of Abraham and protector of Sarah. Unending is your might, eternal one. You are the source of eternal life. Great is your power to redeem. You cause the wind to blow and the rain to fall, the sun to shine and the dew to descend. In your love, you sustain the living. In your compassion, you grant us eternal life. You support the falling and heal the sick. You free the captive and keep faith with those who sleep in the dust. Who is like you, source of all strength? Who is your equal, sovereign author of life and death, whose will it is that goodness shall prevail? Trusting in you, we see life beyond death. Baruch atah Adonai mechayeh hametim. We praise you, O God, source of eternal life. נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך כל הארץ, כבודו. אדיר, אדירנו אדוני, אדוננו מה אדיר, שמך בכל הארץ. ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי עיר ציון, לדור ודור. הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, ושברך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. On page 142. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש. לדור ודור נצחים קדושתך נקדיש ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד לעולם ועד לדור ודור נגיד גודלך ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד לעולם ועד ברוך אתה אדוני האל
You inspired our ancestors to hallow this day for your service. When upon its coming we pause to contemplate our life, we learn anew that we do not live by bread alone, but also by the spiritual nourishment we receive when we open ourselves to influence. We thank you for the Sabbath day and for the opportunity it offers to enhance the quality of our life. We thank you for its joy and for its peace. May our worship help us to take into our hearts its message of holiness and consecrate all our days by devotion to what is true, beautiful, and good.
ישמחו במלכותך, ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי שבת וקוראי עונג, המקדשי שביעי, המקדשי שביעי, כולם יספרו וינתגו מטובך, והשביעי והשביעי רצית בו וקידשתו, חמדת ימים, חמדת ימים, אותו קראת זכר למעשה בראשית.
Our God and God of ancestors, may our rest on this day be pleasing in your sight. Sanctify us by your commandments and make us loyal to your teaching. Satisfy us with your goodness, gladden us with your salvation, and purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, eternal one, let the holiness of your Sabbath enter our hearts, and may all Israel who hallow your name be exalted by its peace. We praise you, O God, for the holiness of the Sabbath.
Say Adonai Eloheinu be'amecha Yisrael u'tefilatam be'ahava tekabel u'tehi leratzon tamid avodat Yisrael. Israel Amecha, Baruch atah Adonai, she'otecha levadecha beicha navod. Modim anachnu lar she'ata hu Adonai Eloheinu. We give thanks that you, Eternal One, are our God, as you were the God of ancestors. You are the rock of our life, the power that shields us in every age. We thank and praise you for our lives which are in your hand, for our souls which are in your keeping, for the signs of your presence we encounter every day, and for your wondrous gifts at all times, morning, noon, and night. We praise you, O God, source of goodness, to whom our thanks are due. As a loving parent, bless us with the light of your presence, for by the light of your presence, eternal God, you have revealed to us the law of life, a love of kindness and righteousness, blessing and mercy, life and peace. For it is good in your sight that you people Israel and all peoples be blessed at all times with your gift of peace. We praise you, O God, the source of peace. And we take now a few moments for private prayer and meditation. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable to you, O God, my rock and my redeemer. Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, vegoali yu lecha. ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Oseh shalom imomav, uyaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Israel, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru amen. La 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 la. So that just in case you were falling asleep even before my sermon, a bit of music, lively music to wake you up. So Shabbat Shalom, and thank you, Rebecca. It's always a pleasure. Yeah, it worked. So we have Gary with us today. We have Russell and Craig and Rebecca. And of course, online, I can see that Deborah is here, Meira, Michelle, Mike, Judith, Dominic, Fleur, Shannon, Vince, and I have also Jane, Cheltenham, yes, of course, yes, Sarah, Josh and Sox, Philip is here as well, Louisa, Tina, Neil, Alexandra. Shabbat Shalom to you all. And of course, there are many people I don't see their name because they are on YouTube and Twitter, and people who don't put their names in the comment section, but welcome to you all. So, Torah service for today is on page 481, and maybe this time I will talk about the portion before opening the scroll, anything, so then we can have a full Torah service not interrupted by me talking. I was about to say nonsense, but it's not nonsense. I never talk nonsense, do I?
I'm not on camera, I might say people can't see my face right now.
Oh, okay. Okay, so you can always count on a good friend to stab you in the back. So, Parashat Vayikra. I will talk about it later in my sermon. For those who went online yesterday, I gave a kind of spoiler trailer of my sermon today because I mixed my sermons actually yesterday evening. But it's fine because you probably have forgotten since yesterday. So I will talk about this book of Leviticus, which is quite a strange one in the middle of the Torah. It's all about sacrifices. It's about the temple cult. And for us today, of course, the temple has been destroyed almost 2,000 years ago. And even Maimonides in the Middle Ages said, that was part of our history, and we don't need a temple anymore. In antiquity, people needed that, but we've grown out of that. So, of course, but we have it in our Torah. So we have 7 weeks, which is also interesting, 7 parashot on this book of Vayikra. And I've decided to read the first bit, which, interestingly, is not in the LJ lectionary, and you will understand why. But I thought, let's read the first 9 verses, chapter 1, verses 1 to 9. And it's Vayikra el Moshe. And if you have a look, I don't know, you'll see this later when you see the scroll. The Aleph from Vayikra is a small Aleph, which, of course, is with the first word, we already have this question, why do we have a small Aleph in the Torah? So it's it's not a scribal error. It's just a decision made by scribes to show that it can be there are many interpretations of this small Aleph. One of them being that Aleph stands for Adam, and because it's God who calls Moses, we don't want to have, it starts with a Yud, which is the divine letter by excellence, and it finishes with Aleph, which is the man, Adam. And some people say that's because you don't want to have God at the same level as Moses, or Moses at the same level as God. But also it's quite unusual to use Vayikra, because usually it's Vayedaber, Adonai el Moshe lemor. So there's something more. Likro, it's really a call when you call to do something. So it's just not just listening to an order, is to be called very deeply inside you. So the eternal God called to Moses and spoke to him from the tent of meeting, Beho el Moed, which is this tabernacle that they built in the previous chapters. And God said, "Speak to the Israelite people and say to them, when any of you presents an offering of cattle to the Eternal, he shall choose his offering from the herd or from the flock." And here we have already a very interesting word which I will comment on later. Adam, okay, a man, ki yakriv mikem korban ladonai. So you have this root, kuf resh beit, which is translated by sacrifice. But I will talk about this later because there's something more than just sacrificing something. If his offering is a burnt offering, which in Hebrew is olah, because the smoke goes up from the herd, he shall make his offering a male without blemish. He shall bring it on the entrance of the tent of meeting for acceptance in his behalf before the Eternal. He shall lay his hand upon the head of the burnt offering, that it may be acceptable in his behalf in expiation for him. And here we have, in Hebrew, the word used, the olah, the sacrifice, the burnt offering, whereby you burn the whole animal. It's lechaper alav, and lechaper is the same root as kippur. So there's this idea of expiation and giving something in return of something else. And again, we'll talk about this later. And the idea of lay the hand on the cattle before the priest it's almost transactional aspect. The bull shall be slaughtered before the Eternal, and Aaron's sons, the priests, the Kohanim, shall offer the blood, dashing the blood against all sides of the altar, which is at the entrance of the tent of meeting. So remember, in Judaism, there's we don't like blood. I mean, if you look at kosher meat, you have to get rid of all the blood, which is actually it's a shame because yes, okay. I shouldn't say that. It makes very good gravy. But anyway, it's kosher, so you have no blood.
Oh, Rabbi, ladies and gentlemen.
No, you are not allowed. Okay, make it clear. It's in public. I'm not saying. Oh gosh, this little boy, this little voice of a little devil whispers to my ear, say this and say, oh gosh, sorry guys. And each time I try to be good. Maybe one day. So, dashing the blood against all sides of the altar, which is at the entrance of the tent of the meeting. The burnt offering shall be flayed and cut up into sections. So you understand why this passage is not really in the LJ lectionary. But my point is precisely we need to read that because it's part of our tradition. The sons of Aaron the priest shall put fire on the altar and lay out wood upon the fire. And Aaron's sons, the priests, shall lay out the sections with the head and the suet on the wood that is on the fire upon the altar. Its entrails and legs shall be washed with water, and the priest shall turn the whole into smoke on the altar as a burnt offering, a gift of pleasing odor to the Eternal. So it's
Quite gory, isn't it?
It's quite gory, absolutely. But it was part of the sacrificial system, and you understand why many people don't really want to go back there. Okay, thank you, Sarah. Thank you. It's very kind of you. She said that the half they heard yesterday wasn't nonsense. Thank you, Sarah. That's really kind of you. Actually, I'm saying this to attract, this kind of comment. Of course. Right, Torah service on page 481. 481. אין כמוך ואלוהים אדוני, ואין כמעשיך, מלכותך מלכות כל עולמים, וממשלתך בכל דור ודור. אדוני מלך, אדוני מלך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יבחר את עמו בשלום. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. אחד אלוהינו, גדול אדוננו, קדוש שמו. גדלו לאדוני איתי ונרוממה שמו יחדיו. על שלושה דברים. So I'm going to invite all of you, where you are in your home, to say the Torah blessing with me. So it will be a community-wide Torah blessing for all of you. ברכו את אדוני המבורך, ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר בחר בנו מכל העמים, ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה. אמן. ויקרא אל משה, וידבר אדוני אליו מאוהל מועד, לאמור דבר אל בני ישראל, ואמרת עליהם אדם כי יקריב מכם קורבן לאדוני, מן הבהמה, מן הבקר ומן הצאן תקריבו את קורבנכם. אם עולה קורבניו מן הבקר, זכר תמים יקריבנו אל פטר או אל מועד, יקריב אותו לרצונו לפני אדוני, ושמח ידו על ראש העולה, ונרצה לו לכפר עליו, ושחט את בן הבקר לפני אדוני, והקריבו בני אהרון הכהנים את הדם, וזרקו את הדם על המזבח סביב, אשר פתח אוהל מועד, והפשיט את העולה, וניתח אותה לנתחיה,
ונתנו בני אהרון הכהן אש על מזבח, וערכו עצים על האש, וערכו בני אהרון הכהנים את הנתונים, את הראש ואת הפדר, על העצים אשר על האש, אשר על המזבח. וקרבו וחד ורחב יחץ במים, והקטיר הכהן את הכל, המזבחה עולה, ישרח נירוח לאדוני. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר בחר בנו מכל העמים ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה. Amen. So I'm not going to raise the scroll because I'm alone here on the bima near the scroll. You've seen it on your screen, so you have an idea of what was read. So if you can just al shosha dvarim, the time I'm just dressing the scroll again. Al shosha devarim, al shosha devarim, haolam haolam omen. Al shosha devarim, al shosha devarim, al shosha devarim, haolam haolam omen. Al Torah ve'al avodah, al gemilut chasadim. Al Torah ve'al avodah, ve'al gemilut chasadim. We turn to page 484. Eternal God, whose dominion embraces the universe, we ask you blessing for our sovereign lady Queen Elizabeth and all the royal family, for those who govern our country and all who influence the quality of its national life. Make them conscious of their responsibility and teach them to exercise it in accordance with your will. May we all help to fashion in this country a society that excels in freedom and justice, tolerance and compassion, so that it may be a force for righteousness and peace in the life of humanity. Eternal God, as you blessed our ancestors in generations past, bless now this congregation, its leaders and members, and all who enter the synagogue to meet, to study, and to pray. Comfort the sorrowing hearts among us and heal those in anxiety or pain. May we all find here community and friendship, renewal and purpose and hope, a deeper understanding of our heritage, and a sense of your abiding presence. Bless all the congregation of the House of Israel throughout the world. Let those who live under oppressive rule soon be freed, and may we all unite to witness to your truth and do your will. Eternal God, our rock and redeemer, grant blessing to the state of Israel, created to fulfill an age-old dream and to be a haven for the oppressed. Inspire its leaders and citizens with faithfulness to the aims of its founders, to develop the land for the benefit of all its inhabitants, and to implement the prophetic ideals of liberty and justice.
May they live in harmony with one another and in peace with their neighbors, and cause to come true once more the ancient vision that out of Zion shall go forth Torah and the word of God from Jerusalem. On page 486. הודו על ארץ ושמיים, וירם קרן לעמו, תהילה לכל חסידיו, לבני ישראל עם קרובו, הללויה, הללויה. Page 489. לקח טוב נתתי לכם, תורתי אל תעזבו, את חיים הנה מחזיקים בה, ותומכי המאושר, דרכי ידך נועם, וכל נתיבותיה שלום. So, my trailer from yesterday. So today I promise I will deliver my sermon until the end.
You're not going to give us last night's one again?
No. I printed the right one, so it's going to be all right. So in 1990, Rabbi John Rayner, Zichrono Livracha, delivered a sermon at the LGS on the opening parasha of the book of Leviticus, Vayikra. And this is what he said. This is the time of the year when, paradoxically, just as we get ready to celebrate Pesach, we leave behind the book of Exodus with its stirring account of the deliverance of our ancestors from Egyptian slavery and turn to the very different books of Leviticus, which will provide our Torah readings for the next 7 weeks. It is a time which Jewish preachers don't particularly relish, for there is little in the book of Leviticus to inspire, to edify, or even to interest a modern congregation. Of course, there is the great 19th chapter with its lofty moral exhortations, such as love your neighbor as yourself. There is the 23rd chapter about the festivals of the Jewish year, which still regulates our calendar. And there is the 25th chapter with its utopian provisions for a just social order, including the Jubilee. But that makes only 3 chapters out of 27. The rest is almost entirely occupied with the priesthood and the sacrificial cult and the laws of ritual defilement and purification, particularly chapter after dreary chapter, prescribing in minute detail the sacrifices to be offered day by day. There is therefore a great temptation at this time of the year to choose the Torah readings with judicious selectivity, or else to read a short passage from the prescribed portion, but then quickly to forget about it and talk about something else. End of quote. Rabbi René wouldn't take the easy way, and he decided to tackle the issue of sacrifices for progressive Jews. His conclusion still resonates today. This is what he says. The sacrificial cult represents a stage in the development of Judaism that was left behind long ago. We look to the past only to see how far we have traveled and to understand more clearly where we must go, which is not back to square one, but forward to a better future, to a more mature kind of religious belief and worship. End of quote. Progressive Jews today, and many Orthodox Jews actually as well, do not long for the establishment of a sacrificial cult in the Temple of Jerusalem, and we are very much aware of the price we would have to pay just to rebuild the temple in the modern city of Jerusalem. However, we must keep this text alive as part of our tradition, not because we believe that one day they might be relevant again in the future, but because they belong to our history. They inspired our ancestors. They were part of their worldview, and they were once central to the Jewish religion. The root for the word sacrifice, as I said earlier when I started my translation of the Torah portion, sacrifice is korban. The root is kuf resh beit, which means to get or to bring closer to. In the temple, when it stood, sacrifices were meant to bridge the gap between the people and the divine, to open a road between the profane and the sacred, almost to open a channel between both worlds. The ancient worshipper would bring to the temple something of value, each according to his or her own means, and offer it to make peace, to repair a wrong, or to express gratitude. Gift-giving in antiquity was a very important feature of human relationships. It constituted the fundamental gesture of public recognition between human groups and was a precondition to form alliances. In the religious world, sacrifices were also understood as an act of gift-giving, as an alliance between the divine and the human realms, a transaction that ensured continuity in relationships. Rabbis of the past have transformed the avodah, the temple service, into avodat halev, the service of the heart, prayer, act of loving kindness, and betterment of the world. They have proven themselves capable of change in a time when the very survival of our people was at stake. It happened 2,000 years ago, and for us, of course, it's history. We can hardly fathom how traumatic these times were and how many sacrifices they had to make. The history of the many sacrifices we had to make in a time of COVID is yet to be written, and alongside it, how much closer we could get to God and to our true selves. As Rabbi René said in the beginning, preaching on Shabbat Vayikra is not something a progressive rabbi would relish. Nevertheless, there is always something new. There's always a different lesson to draw for us today, in this particular generation, in this particular moment. We know the sacrifices we had to make in order to go through this pandemic. We know the price of lockdowns on our mental health, on our economy. But we must also recognize the good that came out of this extraordinary experience by meditating on the Hebrew root of korban, something that brings us closer. It is now up to us to decide closer to what? The future is always in our hands, and we have a unique opportunity to make it brighter, more compassionate, and more meaningful. Ken Yeh Ratzon. Shabbat Shalom. Meira, so you can also hear the birds. That's really nice. We have, we have the birds in the garden because we have a garden door open. And actually, I will do the kiddush from the garden for my phone later, so you can see also. I mean, it's not a really bright day. I mean, it's bright, but it's cloudy. But you know, right? So I remember always thinking, bringing your phone on the bima is such a disgrace, and actually, it's really good because I can then talk to you about what's going to happen at Careless, and of course. So tomorrow at 11 there is a cook-along Zoom with Anne Chanak, who is inviting you to prepare her own version of a traditional Greek dish, spanakopita. And tomorrow evening, film crushers discuss Firebirds. Firebirds, nice, huh?
Yeah, I started watching last night.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So the usual classes for you, and next week, Erev Shabbat will be led by Norman and Jill and Rebecca Weddell with Pesach-themed songs. And next Shabbat morning service will be joined with Fincher Progressive Synagogue. And now we have, next Shabbat, next weekend is the weekend/Shabbat of Pesach. So Saturday evening is the first night, and you have different options. You can either host yourself a Seder from home, you can ask to be hosted in a Seder with another family of KLS, and for that you need to let Diane know if you want to host and if you want to be hosted, or you can join Wessex Liberal Synagogue where I will lead the first night Seder. So you have three options, but please don't stay alone on Pesach. It's really not the time that one has to stay, one can't be alone on Pesach. Sunday the 28th in the morning at 11, there will be, instead of a Thursday Pesach service, we will have a study session on the Pesach themed text studies. And next Sunday, the 28th of March at 5:30 because we want to involve also our children, so we start earlier. The second night of Pesach, so we've been working very hard with a group of very creative KLS members to prepare something a bit different this year because, remember last year we did our Seder it was good. It was just a few weeks after the lockdown was announced, and we really managed to do something meaningful, and we had many people joining. But, it's the second Seder in lockdown, and we wanted to do something different. So we will keep the structure of the 15 steps, but you will have some surprise, a good surprise, I hope, in between. So please So, of course, as KLS members, you are all invited, of course. You will have the Zoom link. But if you're friends of KLS, or if you want to bring guests, please let Diane know at the office before Friday, 26 at 2 p.m., because we need, we don't want to be Zoom bombed on Pesach, obviously, by all these nasty anti-Semites who are rummaging Zoom and the internet, so we don't want them. And if they come, we can slaughter them and offer them as a Pesach sacrifice. So be warned. Okay, so if you want to order matzah boxes, you need to let Mary Regal, aka Mary Simmons, know by Monday, 22nd of March, and the email address is very easy. It's Mary with a Y, .regal@gmail.com, and you need to tell her how many boxes you want, and you need to let Mary know by Monday so she can she can order them, and then they will be delivered to you if you need the matzah boxes, but please let us know, and it's £1.75 for each box. And we have ordered boxes from LGY Netzer for Pesach. And next Saturday, there will be a session led by our wonderful Beitenu teachers for our students. And each of them will receive a box from LGY Netzer. And I will be at KLS Wednesday, between 4 and 7 in the afternoon, and Thursday between 6 and 8 in the early afternoon, evening. So if you want, if you can, please come along and collect your children's boxes. And if you really can't make it, just let Diane know, and we will send them by post. But in order to save some money for KLS, it would be great if you're not too far, if you could just pop in and fetch your children's box for Pesach. And I think I don't want to add too many informations.
Can I just mention?
Yeah, sure, please go.
So tomorrow, the first episode of our Seder Plates will be going live at around lunchtime. And up until Friday lunchtime, we will be streaming one episode at lunchtime every day and one episode in the evening. So tomorrow lunchtime, it will be Jill and Norman, our Seder Plates. So tune in, and it will be available on our catch-up service afterwards as well, of course.
Brilliant, thank you. Oh, I really enjoyed the Careless musical event last week. Saturday. You are just amazing. We have so many musicians at Careless. I took the names. Huh? I took the names and I'll come back to you, because we really need to use all this musical energy we have at Careless. Yeah. So, and we have many instruments. We have piano, guitar, accordion, voice. What, Louisa? What does Louisa? Clarinet. And so we almost have a guitar. Ukulele, of course, ukulele.
Oh, and mouth organ.
Huh?
Mouth organ.
Yes. How do you call it?
No, that was Ethan.
Yeah, Ethan.
Harmonica.
Okay,
yeah.
So it's in French. Okay. So we've got a klezmer band already, and voice, of course, with many amazing singers at KLS. So I was going to do. We need you. Okay, so we turn to page 213 for the final, for the alternative Aleinu, which I think is very timely, because we need to remind ourselves that there is a better future for us if only we work on it. Will be wedded to power, and when softness will come to a world that is harsh and unkind, and when men and women will be gentle, and when both women and men will be strong, and when no person will be subject to another's will, will be rich and free and varied, and when the greed of some will give way to the needs of many, and when all will share equally in the earth abundant, and when Lord will care for the sick and the weak and the old, and when all will nourish the young, and when all will cherish life creatures, and then all will live in harmony with each other and the earth, and when everywhere will be called Eden once again. So on this Shabbat, we remember Maurice Hornfield, the father of Beverly Scheib. Jesse, how do you say, Levi or Levi? I never know. I think both work, huh? Jessie Levy, the mother of Norma Sheldon. Harold Levy, the father of Norma Sheldon. Janice Rich, the mother of Sarah Alston and grandmother of Samuel Joshua. And Anne-Marie Seelig, remembered by all her friends at KLS. We wish you a long life. Zichronam livracha. May their memory be a blessing. As we say together the words of the Kaddish on page 524. 524. יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמה דברך חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהא שמי רבה מבורך לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה, יתברך וישתבר ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי לקודשה בריחו. לאלה מן כל ביחתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן. יהא שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל בני אדם ואמרו אמן. So now we're going to finish our service with an Adornolam, the Sephardi one. This one.
Yeah.
Pa-pam, pa-pam.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I could do a different one and see how it goes.
We'll see, yeah. Adornolam Hashem Allah, בטרם כל לציר נברא, לעת נעשה וחפשו כל, אזי מלך שמו נקרא, אזי מלך שמו נקרא, ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו אם לא נוחה, והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה, והוא יהיה בתפארה, והוא אחד ואין שני, להמשילו להביכה, בלי ראשית בלי תכלית, ולא העוז והמשרה, ולא העוז והמשרה, והוא אלי וחי גורלי, בצור חפלי ומנוס לי, ומנוס לי ומנוס לי, מנת כוסי ביום אקרא, מנת כוסי ביום אקרא, בידו אפקיד רותי, ועת תשען וארירה, ואם רוחי כביאתי, אדוני לי ולא אירא, אדוני לי ולא אירא. מי ששיכן את שמו בבית הזה ובזום הזה, הוא ישכים ביניכם אהבה ואחווה ושלום ורעות. May the one whose presence dwelleth in this synagogue and in your homes cause love and harmony, peace and friendship to dwell among us. Adonai oz le'amo yiten, Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom. Eternal God, grant strength to people Israel. Eternal God, bless your people and all peoples with peace. And let us say, Amen. Shabbat Shalom. I'll see you in a few moments for the Kiddush.